Harley Davidson just crossed the line. 5 brand new 2026 bikes that rewrite what Harley even means. Lighter frames, sharper engines, zero compromise. Old school riders call it betrayal, new blood calls it freedom. And if you ride a V-twin, this shift touches your pride, your resale, and the soul of your garage. Stay till the end, because the #1 bike on this list proves whether Harley saved its legacy or sold it. Number 5. Harley Davidson Street, Bob 117. Every rider remembers the first time they discovered simplicity done right. A motorcycle that strips away excess and leaves nothing but the essentials: steel, torque, and attitude. That is the promise of the Street Bob. It is the lightest softail in Harley's big twin lineup, yet it carries the same muscle as its larger siblings. In the 2026 model year, the Street Bob continues that tradition with refined engineering and the heart of a heavyweight. The Street Bob captures the idea of a working man's performance bike, a stripped-down cruiser with raw charm. The silhouette remains minimal. Narrow mid-controls, mini-ape handlebars, and a 2-up seat that balances comfort with the lean stance of a solo machine. The blacked-out engine cases and chopped fenders keep the look defiant, while the hidden rear suspension maintains the hardtail aesthetic that recalls Harley's earliest designs. Every line on this bike exists for one reason: to move you forward with purpose. There's nothing decorative about it, and that honesty is its strength. Twist the throttle, and the low-end torque surges immediately. The power delivery is broad and predictable, giving the rider complete command at every gear change. The Milwaukee 8 117 breathes through a freer flowing intake and exhaust setup, creating a deep, rolling tone that sounds like heritage itself. The bike's balance between power and weight makes it one of the most agile cruisers in the Harley lineup, perfectly suited for urban rides, quick getaways, or winding country roads. Harley's engineers refined the suspension and geometry for 2026 to keep the steering light without sacrificing stability. The inverted fork provides firm feedback through the bars, while the hidden rear shock smooths out rough pavement without losing the connected feel older riders appreciate. On rough back roads or uneven pavement, the Street Bob holds its line without effort. The dual-disc braking setup, supported by the anti-lock braking system, gives reassuring stopping power without fade or grab, especially during wet conditions. Every component on the Street Bob is designed to remind the rider of the company's blue-collar roots. The tank proudly displays Harley's classic logo, hand-painted with a subtle modern edge, while the stripped wiring and minimalist lighting keep attention on the mechanical beauty of the engine. The finish choices lean toward matte black and steel gray, a conscious move away from flash and toward quiet confidence. It is not about being seen, it is about being respected. Older riders will appreciate how approachable the bike feels. The seat height makes flat footing easy at stops, and the weight sits low in the frame for natural balance. The narrow mid-controls keep knees tucked comfortably, making longer rides surprisingly manageable for a model that looks so compact. The ergonomics favor riders who want the freedom to modify and personalize. Whether you prefer forward controls, different bars, or a solo seat setup, the Street Bob accommodates them all without losing its essence. The spirit of this motorcycle lies in its adaptability. It can be a weekend backroad machine, a daily commuter, or the foundation for a custom build. Many riders see the Street Bob as a blank canvas, one that carries Harley's heritage but leaves room for individual expression. Chrome can be swapped for black, bars can go higher or lower, exhaust can grow louder or stay civilized, and yet through every change, the soul remains the same. It is still a rider's machine, built for those who measure a good day by how much road they covered. On the highway, the Street Bob settles into a steady rhythm. The 6th gear hums quietly, the bars stay smooth, and the mirrors hold clear. At 70 miles per hour, the engine sits comfortably in its torque band, ready for passing or cruising. Around town, the clutch pull remains light enough for easy use in traffic. These refinements show Harley's attention to real-world usability without taming the raw character that makes this model special. In this latest form, it produces approximately 105 horsepower from its Milwaukee 8 117 engine, measuring 1,923 cubic centimeters and delivering 125 pound-feet of torque. It uses dual front and single rear disc brakes, supported by a precision-tuned anti-lock braking system, an inverted telescopic front fork, and hidden rear monoshock suspension, a wet weight of around 650 pounds, a seat height of 26.8 inches, and a starting price of $17,999. The next bike on this list proves that Harley can take that raw foundation and turn it into something built for speed, distance, and the kind of confidence that carries you far beyond the horizon. If you're feeling the same mix of shock and excitement about Harley's new direction, hit that subscribe button and like this video. Number 4. Harley Davidson Lowrider ST121. There is a certain kind of rider who wants the punch of a performance cruiser, but the long-legged comfort of a touring bike. For that rider, the Lowrider delivers both in a single, unapologetic package built for real-world miles and real-world riders. The Lowrider is the modern answer to Harley's old question of how to make a cruiser handle like something more athletic. It borrows the sleek fairing and compact bags from the sport touring world, giving riders just enough wind protection for cross-state rides without losing the muscular silhouette that defines the bike's attitude. The combination of the Milwaukee 8 121 and the tighter frame geometry makes it a serious performer in sweeping turns and highway merges alike. You feel it the moment you roll onto the throttle, the steady pulse of torque that refuses to taper off, the immediate response that feels mechanical yet refined. The design language remains pure Harley at heart, purposeful, minimal, and free of excess. The sculpted tank lines flow into a solo seat that positions the rider deep into the bike, bringing balance between reach and control. The handlebars rise just high enough to open the chest while keeping the posture aggressive but natural. It is a riding position that makes sense to the body and speaks directly to those who have ridden long enough to value comfort earned through engineering, not accessories. When you idle at a stoplight, the Lowrider does not buzz or vibrate uncontrollably. Instead, it breathes with the same calm confidence as the man who owns it. That calmness disappears once the light changes. The power delivery through the 6-speed transmission feels steady, predictable, and strong. The gearbox slots in with a distinct mechanical certainty, reminding you that precision is not sterile, it is satisfying. Each shift builds momentum, and the weight of the bike, distributed low and central, turns into an ally rather than a burden. The fairing, inspired by the performance bagger look, channels air smoothly around the shoulders while keeping the front light stable at high speeds. It is not about being flashy, but about being functional. Inside the compact fairing, the gauges remain analog-inspired, clear, and easy to read even under direct sunlight. Harley's designers have resisted the temptation to over-digitize, understanding that riders who grew up on cables and carburetors still want to see a needle sweep when they open the throttle. The braking performance adds reassurance to that confidence. Dual discs up front bring a clean, progressive bite that never surprises. The anti-lock braking system is tuned to step in quietly, offering safety without intrusion. On long downhill sections or unexpected traffic, that balance of control is what keeps the ride stress-free. The suspension setup, particularly the adjustable rear monoshock, manages uneven roads with maturity. You feel the pavement without suffering from it, which is exactly how a Harley should ride. For long-distance runs, the small saddlebags provide practicality without turning the silhouette bulky. They swallow up weekend essentials or a light week's worth of gear while preserving the tight waistline of the frame. This is a bike designed for those who prefer to ride alone or with one trusted companion rather than as part of a convoy. It looks best under one rider's ownership and wears its miles like a leather jacket wears its creases, with pride. In its 2026 configuration, the Lowrider is powered by the Milwaukee 8 121 engine, producing approximately 130 horsepower, 1,983 cubic centimeters, and 150 pound-feet of torque. It is equipped with a dual front and single rear disc braking system supported by an advanced anti-lock braking system, a premium inverted front fork paired with a rear monoshock suspension, a wet weight of around 720 pounds, a seat height of 27.2 inches, and a starting price of $22,499. The next bike on this list proves that Harley's devotion to long-distance comfort is matched only by its ability to redefine what touring luxury feels like on American highways. Need legit riding essentials? Hit the description for my go-to gear and accessories. Now, back to the list. Number 3. Harley Davidson Street Glide CVO. Every generation of touring riders looks for that single motorcycle that delivers balance, muscle to move, comfort to endure, and the craftsmanship to make every mile feel earned. The Street Glide has carried that reputation for decades, and in 2026, it takes another leap forward with a deeper focus on refinement and endurance. The Street Glide remains the definition of American touring, broad-shouldered, steady, and tuned for the open road. This new version keeps the long, graceful flow of its batwing fairing, but sharpens the edges to improve airflow and reduce fatigue over distance. Beneath that styling update sits a machine built to carry 2 people, full luggage, and confidence across any stretch of highway. It is powerful enough to merge or overtake without hesitation, yet steady enough to make long-distance comfort seem effortless. The moment the big twin settles into its deep idle, you sense its heritage, the familiar rhythm that has defined countless road trips and late-night returns under an open sky. Inside the cockpit, Harley's Skyline operating system takes a clear step ahead. A 12.3-inch full-color display brings navigation, communication, and entertainment into a single-touch interface. The sound system carries through 4 Rockford Fosgate speakers, tuned to overcome wind noise and helmet acoustics without distortion. Even the control layout has been reimagined. Thumb switches are simpler, the gauges more intuitive, and the lighting softer at night. Riders in their 50s and 60s will recognize the benefit immediately. Less distraction, more focus on the road. The Street Glide's cabin feels like a space designed by and for people who know the rhythm of touring life. The comfort equation is answered by careful balance. The seat shape encourages long stints between stops, wide enough to distribute weight, but tapered enough at the nose to make stops manageable. Footboards are slightly revised for more leg freedom, and the bars reach back just enough to remove shoulder tension over time. At 65 miles per hour, the bike's vibration profile settles into a low hum, almost hypnotic, and the mirrors remain steady enough to read the road behind without blur. Harley has tuned the bodywork to cut through crosswinds that once nudged earlier models, and the result is a calmer ride in unpredictable weather. For braking and suspension, the changes are more than cosmetic. Dual front discs offer firmer initial bite, while the Showa components soak up uneven pavement with maturity. The anti-lock braking system intervenes smoothly on wet asphalt, and the cornering traction control adjusts power subtly during lean, without ever feeling electronic or detached. You sense real contact with the road, a handshake between man, machine, and momentum. This balance of old-world torque and new-world control gives the Street Glide its character. It does not rush, it endures. The exhaust tone remains unmistakably Harley. It rolls deep, low, and clean, resonating through the fairing and seat rather than screaming past it. The note feels less like noise and more like a rhythm, steady, confident, reassuring. Longtime riders will appreciate that even with modern emission systems and tuning standards, the soul of the big twin is still intact. Each twist of the throttle brings the sensation of controlled surge rather than reckless speed. It is a bike that reminds you that true performance is not about spectacle, but sustainability. Aesthetically, this CVO version leans into rich, multi-layered paint schemes and subtle chrome contrasts that highlight its shape without overwhelming it. Polished exhaust tips, diamond-cut wheels, and low-gloss finishes on the engine cases reflect light with restraint. The design language speaks of craftsmanship rather than flash. It invites a second look, not a double take. Even the seat stitching carries a small nod to earlier touring models, a quiet tribute to Harley's legacy of detail. In this latest form, it produces approximately 127 horsepower from its Milwaukee 8-121 engine, measuring 19,183 cubic centimeters and generating 145 pound-feet of torque. It uses dual front and single rear disc brakes paired with an advanced anti-lock braking system, Showa dual bending valve front suspension with premium adjustable rear shocks, a wet weight of around 840 pounds, a seat height of 26.7 inches, and a starting price of $42,995. The next bike on this list proves that adventure can share the same American soul, showing how Harley has carried its torque-rich identity into terrain far beyond the highway. Number 2. Harley Davidson Pan America CVO 1250. There was a time when riders thought adventure and Harley belonged to different worlds. The Pan America changed that idea, proving that American torque could climb mountains as easily as it crossed deserts. In its 2026 CVO form, the machine steps into new territory, stronger, smarter, and more composed than ever before. The Pan America is built for riders who view the horizon as an open invitation. Its powertrain is a liquid-cooled, variable valve timing design that feels alert without being impatient, always ready to dig in on loose ground or surge past traffic with steady precision. Harley engineers tuned this engine to deliver torque early and hold it long, creating a predictable wave of drive that makes uphill climbs and off-road transitions effortless. Twist the throttle and the bike lunges forward with confidence, not aggression. It is strength applied with restraint, exactly what a seasoned rider demands when navigating uncertain terrain. Comfort plays an equally important role. The seat and cockpit geometry encourage upright posture for long hours, with wide handlebars and a narrow waist that make both standing and sitting positions natural. The Adaptive Ride Height System, a CVO exclusive, automatically lowers the bike at a stop and raises it as you roll forward, keeping both balance and control intact for riders of all sizes. That design decision alone has won over many who previously hesitated to try taller adventure motorcycles. The feeling of confidence at every stoplight or trail pause becomes second nature. Beyond the physical design, technology takes a quiet but significant leap. The large touch display manages ride modes, navigation, and communication through a clear interface visible even under direct sunlight. 5 primary ride settings: Road, Rain, Sport, Off-Road, and Off-Road Plus allow the rider to adjust suspension, throttle response, and traction control within seconds. The system never feels intrusive. It simply refines the relationship between man and machine. Even when riding across gravel or wet grass, the transition from controlled traction to free spin feels organic, as if the motorcycle knows what you intend to do before you do it. The CVO treatment turns the Pan America into more than a utility tool. The paint schemes shift under light, moving from deep metallic bronze to subtle gold accents, a nod to craftsmanship without breaking its rugged silhouette. Aluminum crash guards, spoked tubeless wheels, and premium handguards reinforce the practical side of its identity. Every element is built to take punishment without complaint. The LED headlamp projects a wide, even spread that reaches far into dark trails, and the auxiliary fog lamps extend the beam pattern for safer night crossings. This kind of detail ensures riders remain confident when distance, weather, and time refuse to cooperate. Handling on the road is where the Pan America surprises those unfamiliar with adventure platforms. The center of gravity sits low, and weight distribution stays neutral even when fully loaded with luggage. The Showa suspension adjusts itself in real time, reading bumps and recalibrating damping rates faster than the human eye can detect. Corners taken at highway speeds remain smooth, with no wallow or hesitation. The braking system, already strong in standard models, gains a CVO tune that provides sharper feedback through the lever. Each stop feels deliberate, with no fade even after repeated mountain descents. Touring comfort extends beyond mechanical refinement. The adjustable windscreen allows smooth airflow across helmets, minimizing buffeting for riders who wear modular or full-face designs. Heated grips and seats extend the riding season deep into colder months. The saddle is dense enough for support but soft enough to reduce fatigue, maintaining circulation on rides that last longer than sunrise to sunset. These details, subtle as they seem, make a difference to those who have crossed state lines more times than they can count. In this refined configuration, it produces approximately 150 horsepower from its Revolution Max 1250 engine, measuring 12 150 cubic centimeters and generating 94 pound-feet of torque. It uses dual front and single rear disc brakes with a sophisticated anti-lock braking system, fully adjustable Showa semi-active front and rear suspension, a wet weight of around 570 pounds, a seat height of 31.1 inches in its lowered setting, and a starting price of $28,999. The next and final bike on this list demonstrates what happens when Harley channels every lesson from performance, touring, and adventure into one unified statement of power and precision. If you've made it this far, you're clearly a true rider at heart. Subscribe now, because the next countdown dives even deeper into Harley's future, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 1. Harley Davidson Road Glide ST CVO. For decades, few motorcycles have embodied American touring power quite like the Road Glide. In 2026, the new CVO edition of the Road Glide ST stands at the top of Harley's engineering mountain, a machine that merges performance, luxury, and timeless design into one commanding presence. The Road Glide remains unmistakable the moment you see its shark nose fairing cut through the air. That signature shape, refined through wind tunnel testing, reduces buffeting at highway speed and keeps the ride composed under gusty crosswinds. On this new ST CVO, Harley's designers sharpened every edge, blending aggressive sport touring lines with the confident stance of a heavyweight bagger. It is a presence that announces itself without noise, a quiet authority that older riders respect because it has earned its reputation over time. Once rolling, the Road Glide delivers a sensation that can only come from the Milwaukee 8121. Torque arrives instantly, pushing you forward with deliberate strength rather than sudden violence. The 6-speed transmission engages smoothly, transferring power through the rear wheel with the kind of precision that rewards experienced riders who understand restraint. You do not chase speed on this motorcycle, you command it. At 70 miles per hour, the engine turns with steady rhythm, the exhaust note deep and measured, a sound that feels more like a heartbeat than an engine pulse. Comfort is where the CVO difference becomes clear. The seat is sculpted to keep the rider planted without fatigue, and the reach to the handlebars feels natural even after a full day in the saddle. Heated grips and seat elements extend riding seasons deep into cooler months, and the redesigned footboards provide multiple positions for long-haul flexibility. Every touch point, from the switch housings to the control levers, carries the solidity and weight that Harley owners expect from a premium machine. Inside the fairing rests the centerpiece of the rider experience, the Skyline infotainment system. The 12.3-inch color display integrates navigation, communication, and music through a crisp, easily readable interface. The Rockford Fosgate speakers deliver clean sound even at highway speeds, filling the space around the rider rather than blasting forward. The system pairs quickly with modern headsets or smartphones, but for those who prefer simplicity, it fades quietly into the background and lets the road become the soundtrack. It is technology done the Harley way, subtle, capable, and never intrusive. The handling of the Road Glide surprises riders who expect a heavyweight to feel heavy. The chassis is tuned to remain neutral through corners, with the Showa suspension providing both control and comfort. Each bend in the road becomes an opportunity to appreciate its balance. The front end feels planted, the rear tracks cleanly, and the braking system provides precise feedback. Even when carrying luggage or a passenger, the motorcycle maintains composure through changing terrain. Those who have toured on earlier models will notice how much smoother this generation feels across uneven pavement and expansion joints. Harley's engineers also focused on aerodynamics and temperature management. New venting channels around the fairing and tank area move heat away from the rider's legs, while the airflow around the lower fairing improves both cooling and comfort during long rides in warmer climates. The result is a bike that encourages distance without punishing endurance. Aesthetically, the CVO treatment elevates every detail. The paint carries depth that changes tone under sunlight, and the finishes blend satin and gloss textures to highlight the contours of the bodywork. The wheels are polished yet purposeful, the exhaust tips clean and understated. Each component, from the hand-stitched saddle to the engraved CVO badging, reflects Harley's devotion to craftsmanship. The design tells a story of experience, not excess. Luxury born from purpose. In this latest version, it produces approximately 130 horsepower from its Milwaukee 8 121 engine, measuring 19,183 cubic centimeters and delivering 150 pound-feet of torque. It is equipped with dual front and single rear disc brakes, supported by an advanced anti-lock braking system, fully adjustable Showa front and rear suspension tuned for performance touring, a wet weight of around 890 pounds, a seat height of 26.8 inches, and a starting price of $48,995. The Road Glide STCVO is more than the top of a lineup. It is the peak of Harley's philosophy. Strength without arrogance, comfort without compromise, and technology without clutter. It is the motorcycle built for men who have nothing left to prove, only miles left to enjoy. When the engine quiets at the end of a long day, the silence that follows carries one simple truth. You have just ridden the finest touring machine Harley has ever made. Harley didn't just launch 5 new bikes, they changed the rules of what a Harley can be. Whether that feels like evolution or betrayal depends on what you ride and why you ride it. So, what's your take? Did Harley save its legacy or sell it out? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you love real rider talk and subscribe, because the next lineup we're covering might just flip the whole industry again.